Well, at the start of every year, we sit down with blank diaries and fresh notebooks and an uncomfortable amount of expectation, making New Year's resolutions. And it's almost ritualistic, isn't it? We plan and we resolve and we declare to be new. And yet by February, many of those plans are already wobbling, not because we lack discipline, but often I think because life intervenes and life happens. Welcome to Life Chapters Money Choices. I'm Michael Avery. And for this third episode of the year, can you believe it? We're already into February. It's just me and Kim Potgieter slowing things down quite deliberately at this time of year. And today isn't about setting harder goals or making bolder promises or admonishing you for not sticking to that New Year's resolution and blaming you for not being in the gym. It really is about how we as humans actually change and why intention, not willpower, often does the heavy lifting. Kim has used vision boards for many years, and it's something I'm not really very familiar with, vision boarding. So I'm really looking forward to this, to unpack how we can use vision boards to provide that motivation and that focus and that resilience when it comes to our financial planning. So Kim, welcome. It's great to have you back in. February, can you believe it? Where is this year going? Let's just talk about why this works at all before we talk about money or planning or that kind of thing, because I think when I hear vision boards, often I assume it's about this kind of manifestation or magical thinking or that kind of thing. What is it about vision boarding that is so effective in helping us kind of recalibrate our brains towards goal setting?
I think for me, Michael, I'm a visual person. So the vision boarding for me helps me see it visually. And when I've got it visually in front of me, it actually helps me keep on track. So you talk about it being, we set all these goals and how many of us actually stick to it. I mean, going into the gym, not being able to find a treadmill at the moment is so frustrating. But I know by March it's going to be fine because, those resolutions have all changed. So for me, the vision boarding is one step further. Like New Year, you make all these resolutions. How do you stick to it? So for me, it's been one of those tools that have helped me stick to my goals for the year.
And I mean, I know you've got a deep grounding in psychology. So what's actually happening inside of our brains when we take something like a goal to say, I want to lose the muffin top, and actually putting it physically on a vision board so that you can see it and it's kind of there in your face every day?
So from the research that I've done, because obviously I've tried to get a science behind it because, people are skeptical, but what is actually happening is when you're putting that picture up, you're already seeing yourself having attained that goal. You're seeing yourself without the muffin top, or you're seeing yourself doing one of the trips that you really want to do. So in our body, the emotional feelings that happen is that you've already got it. And for me, that's the encouraging part, because it's kind of that feeling that it's in grasp of you getting it. And I think from a psychological point, there's a whole lot that happens in our bodies when we change it and we can actually see it. But the big thing is, and I think I hear this so often, yes, it's all great to do this, but you've got to still do all the work. I mean, I've never been one of those people that have gone, oh, well, we can just say a whole lot of mantras and it's going to happen. Or, it's more, this is just putting out there what you want to do. Now you need the systems and you need all the ways of actually attaining it.
And it's such an important point because, as I said in the introduction, often when in my mind I think of vision boarding, I have this idea that you cut something out of a magazine, you put it on a vision board, and poof, it just material, magically appears. But it just really is reinforcing this is the goal, this is the dream, this is what I'm aspiring to achieve. But you've still got to do all of the hard work behind the scenes.
You've absolutely got to do the hard work. And for me, the big thing is I always say, put the vision board in a place that you can see it. Because again, it's that continual walking past it, seeing it. Like what happens? My life gets so busy. Then all of a sudden I'm running off doing this. Then I'm running off doing that. And I like it to be able to just come back to it, to re-look at it and go, okay, so what is really important to me? Because we're thrown with so many urgent things that the really important things that we're not doing. Yeah. So for me, I don't just do a vision board. It's not 1 minute I sit down and I've got it done in 30 minutes. I would say that I spend a month before I do it contemplating, thinking. What's really important? Why would I be putting it on? I don't take it lightly. So it's not this quick thing that I sit down and do and laugh and joke and do it. I mean, there are many people that do that and it still works for them. But for me, it's much more intentional when I'm setting what I'm putting on the board. It's really important for me what goes on that board.
Would you say that's almost a critical success factor? Because if you haven't sat down and really thought and introspected, taken time, then maybe what you're putting on the board isn't actually that core to you, and therefore you won't have the motivation and the discipline and everything else that is required to achieve it.
And again, why would you put something on that's not that important to you? Then you're going to spend all the time and focusing on it when actually it wasn't what you wanted to do, and then you're going to come to the end and go, oh, well, I got it, but it wasn't really what I wanted. My time's too precious.
Yeah.
So I like to put that foundation work in, getting it right. It's just like doing a financial plan. You want to put the contemplation in, you want to put the thinking in. What is this money for? It's the same in my vision board. I put that thinking and the foundation and hard work into what I want to put on it, so that when I actually am doing it, it's quite exciting because it's, oh yes, and it's this and it's this. But I've thought about it before. And I'll talk to you about different ways, because there are intuitive ways of doing vision boards when you don't do what I do and think about it all. It's what you're talking about. You just get a magazine, you start cutting out. And the way of doing that one, it's called an intuitive vision board. When you just cut out lots and lots and lots of pictures, and you've got this whole pile, and then you start cutting it down until you say got to your 20 pictures that you want to put on. And they talk about how the subconscious is helping you choose those pictures. So that's called an intuitive vision board. My one that I'm talking to you about today is much more an intentional vision board, where I'm using it to go with my goal as a system to help my goals get achieved.
Right. So talk to me about how one approaches an intentional vision board then. What are the first steps? And I know it's something that you've used to really good effect in your practice and in your own personal life as well. So maybe you could just share some examples of how you started on this more intentional vision boarding journey.
So I use the wheel of balance. Because for me, what happens is so many times there's a few things. You go off on a track, and then all you're doing is work stuff, and then your personal life's going down, and you're not finding time for your own personal health. So I like to take a vision board, and I like to divide my vision board up with the balance wheel. So divide the vision board into the different areas. So I put work in, and I put give back, and I put relationships and money and health, and put in purpose, and I put in play, because we need to have some play. And of course, my favorite always is learning. So I've got those sections. I then start thinking around what would be important for each of those areas for me to achieve. And that's how I always do the contemplation work, is thinking around those areas and what I want to do with them. So I do two different things. I stick pictures, and I normally use pictures of my own life and pictures that really resonate with me.
Yeah. And
nowadays it's so easier. I hardly use a magazine. I'm using it from things that I really want to have. Before I used to use magazines. And then at the same time, I'm writing my goals up. So I do the same, the 8 different sections, and I put my goals under that, written goals. Because for me, that's both ways. I can see it visually, and I've got a plan. And that plan is so important for me, because then I can work with my financial plan and say, these are the important areas that I want for my life this year. How am I going to make sure that my money enables it? And how am I going to make sure that I'm also investing at the same time to get this all to be a possibility?
It's so interesting. What would you say comes first? The financial plan or the vision board? Because from what I'm hearing, it's almost better to maybe deconstruct. So have those various goals that are mapped out through a vision board there, and then reverse engineer back to say, well, how am I going to get there if that's where I want to be in X amount of time?
So, Michael, it's what we've been speaking about, this life planning. You do the life planning first. You work out what it is you want for your life. You then go to your financial planner and you say, now, this is the life I want. This is the money I have. What are the steps I have to do in order for these two to match? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring it in congruence, that actually our money is doing we're getting this whole return on investment, and we're getting this return on life. And they're working parallel together. It's no good going off and doing that and getting yourself into financial debt because of what you've done. You've put trips on, and you put this and you put that, and then you're getting yourself into financial debt.
Yeah.
That for me is just crazy. It's much better that they're working together. So I always start every year with the vision boarding. And I also end the year by looking at my vision board and going, so what's worked, what hasn't hasn't worked? What are the things I want to do more of? What are the things I want to do less of? And I don't think you can. I mean, for me, that's the reflection that really counts, because so many times the things that I thought were important that I put on a vision board don't end up being important by the end of the year.
Yeah, or after you've attained them, you realize that, maybe it was the idea of it more than the actual, attainment. Then you realize, well, maybe I need to do some deeper introspection because that didn't satisfy or fulfill me the way I expected it to. So it's very much an iterative process. It's not something that you just put down and you think, well, that's me set in stone for life.
And that's why things like give back are important to put onto your board. I mean, how are you spending more of your time actually making a difference in this world? What is this legacy that you are leaving behind? And the same time on your relationships, where's your focus time on your relationships? We all know, we'd be told over and over that our most joy and happiness is brought on by good relationships. So put the focus time into that. So I see it as a way deeper thing than just things that are going to cost us money.
Yeah.
So again, I say you need to do it with your financial planner, but your financial planner needs to know all the things that are really important to you. So for me, if you just have to look at my board, you will see people everywhere, from friends to family. You will know that people and clients, you will know that vision boarding brings out the big thing in my life, which is relationships, and that's where I like to focus my time and build my time. So very importantly, it's not just things that equal money that are on there. It's way deeper than that bring you real meaning.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of that, and doing a bit of research ahead of this conversation, I suppose the uncomfortable truth is that life happens. You can have the best laid plans. It doesn't unfold neatly. Markets move, relationships change or shift, and I think if you look at classical psychology, especially Viktor Frankl and Man's Search for Meaning, it suggests that kind of meaning and not control is what people cling on to. It allows them to remain psychologically stable in uncertainty. So how does intention through a vision board act as a stabilizer when our best laid plans might unravel?
Well, I mean, like we all know, we can put all the plans in the world and then life happens. Many of the years when I've done the vision boarding, my life has not gone according to that vision board. And I always go, oh, sure, I didn't put this on. Why is this happening to me? But that's normally my growth areas, and it's normally the part of my life where I'm going to enter some pain, then some suffering, then some real learning and some real growth work.
Yeah.
But I always am a little bit encouraged, and I can't say it when I've really been through trauma. It's hard to be able to say it. Now I can sit back and look at it and say this. But there's an end. So when you're in something and it's so hard and it's so all-consuming in your brain that you forget absolutely everything else, I'll still walk past the vision board and I'll go, you know what, there's an end. It's coming. It's just not now. I now need to deal with what I'm dealing with, and I'll come back to it. So I've got more gentle with myself through the years. I think when I think back to my 20s, I was quite harsh on myself if I hadn't attained what I'd put on my vision board. But no, now I don't have like this big time frame. If it doesn't happen in the year, it might happen in the next year. I take off and all of that. And I think, but it has kept me back on track, to answer your question. It's kept me back on track because I've gone, no, these are the important things. This is the glitch. I'm in a trough going down, but I'm going to come back up again, and I'm going to have time for all these things. But right now I need to do the personal work. I need to do the learning. I need to do the healing before all of these things will be important to me again. Yeah,
2026, the year of the fix, they say. So if there's that work that you have to do, don't worry. And I'm reminded, a couple of months ago, we had the passing of Scott Adams of the Dilbert cartoons series. And, he had a great way of reframing things as well. And often when you're in that trough, it's difficult because, as you say, it's all consuming. But really what you're doing is you trying to look at what you had. If it was a lost relationship or a love that didn't turn out as you thought it would, well, he says, ask yourself, if you were to lose all of the good things to erase the pain that you're feeling now, would you choose that decision? And if so, well, then you haven't lost it all, really. And all you're doing is laying the groundwork for something else and new and exciting and invigorating for your soul to happen. So very difficult in that moment to think like that, though, isn't it, Kim?
It is. I mean, I do vision boarding with many different people, and often I'll do it even with the clients. And some of the clients that have come in have had huge loss where they've lost partners, and then it's like kind of, is this insensitive that you ask somebody to do this kind of work? And I always say you need to leave time. So when you've been through something like that, it wouldn't be something I would recommend you doing.
Okay.
Because you need to be in that right space. But then when you've come through it, it's a really nice way just to get some green sprouts and to see some light at the end of it. So again, it's such a personal thing when I see people come in. I mean, I've had some clients that, like in their late 80s, and they come to do it, and you go, wow, that is so encouraging that people are still seeing a whole lot of stuff that they want to do going ahead in their lives. And it really, for me, does find a way into my heart when we finish doing the process, especially when we do it in a group.
Yeah. When
you're doing it in a group and you've got a whole lot of like-minded people, and the energy of the room, of them all encouraging you and, motivating you to put it on, and kind of that critic in our heads going, oh, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. And there'll be someone else in the room will go, no, Kim, of course you can do it, put it on. And it's a lovely feeling, just seeing people feel these glimmers and feel a little bit more hopeful, because otherwise, what are we all sitting doing? We saying, oh, year after year after year, I want to do this, but 2025, 2026, 2027 is still sitting in our brain, and we actually haven't even put it down and gone out and done it.
You've got to take the time. And I was going to ask you how personal a vision board is. I suppose everyone is different, and whether or not you should be opening your vision board up maybe to, depending on who you are, close family, or if you're quite outgoing, you don't mind criticism or people climbing in, then your friends as well. But if that kind of helps you, they keep you on track, external forces to say, Kim, you put that trip to Bali on your vision board. How's it going?
I've got some cute stories for you, Michael, because people who know me know that I do this. And then at work in the beginning, people would know I was doing it. And then they said to me, come on, Kim, run vision boarding for the company. Even now, in a week's time, we are going to close the company for the afternoon, and everybody comes and does it, from young to old, to the whole group of everybody. And you think, oh, wouldn't you be embarrassed in front of your colleagues what you're putting on? Look, I hardly see very much work ever go on the vision boards, but I see people's personal lives going on it. And I haven't got that sense. I mean, so much so that I walk around the office now, and there's people's vision boards all around the company. And for me, that's so encouraging that we feel in a safe enough space that we're prepared to share it with our colleagues. And then for many of them, their partners aren't there doing it, and then they take it home and their partners see it. I have seen some that say, oh, I think I'm going to put on my engagement ring just in case he can see, or what gift I want to get for Christmas. And then I always laugh. But there's always an element of it also being fun. And I think I've got stories at work where people have actually put stuff on and it's really come true, and the whole company is behind them, motivating them, encouraging them, and say, oh, that's fantastic that it's come true in your life.
No, but you've got to have, I think, that mix of what's really real and serious, and something that's slightly more performative, but amazing culture that you've created, that you can do that at work, and just a great way to build culture, because then you see people, you're not just Jane who's at the office to handle queries for people. These are your goals, these are your aspirations, this is what you're living for at the end of the day, and to reconnect with that in a world that seems increasingly like it's spinning off its axis with what's going on in the US, and with the floods that we had to welcome in the new year, everything else that's going on. It can help be something of an anchor in our lives as well.
I definitely see it as that. And I mean, just maybe off the topic a little bit, just something I wanted to add to it is watching my children. So you've got your daughters, and for me, it's the most beautiful thing to be able to, we talk about anchoring them, but letting them see what it is you want to achieve with your life. It's a great role model First of all, showing them that you've got other things. They're on it, but there are other things. And then watching them see you encourages them to do their own. I mean, I was, my daughter last year, who's 19 and autistic, she painted her vision board. It was beautifully painted. And I went through and there was my son and he had his vision board and all the things that he wanted. And I do, when I look at that, like, how does that anchor a family? How does that bring you together in conversation? Yeah. Michael, that you're talking about what's important to each and every one of you in your family, as opposed to just all being on that treadmill, all just doing what you have to do. So I think it kind of brings everybody together with different conversations, with different encouraging each other and seeing another side of your children that you didn't know was important to them.
And again, as we've mentioned in past episodes, opening up a safe space to have money conversations, because often there will be a money conversation behind this in order to achieve X or Y or Z. And I know it goes beyond that, and it is about purpose, but often that's enabled or unlocked by money. And so if you're going to have to maybe squirrel away a bit more, or be a little bit more disciplined in one area of your life, now people can understand exactly why. And I think it just enriches and deepens the safe space for that kind of conversation.
And it helps you all be on the same page.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you're not saying, well, you didn't give me that, or you didn't give me this, but what we did was we all worked towards something that we wanted to do together. And I've seen it really work with couples. I've seen it work with parent relationships. Just because you're now all of a sudden having a different discussion. And I always put a money section on my vision board because I don't want it to be a taboo thing. And I mean, here's my daughter of 19 saying to me, Mama, I need to go in and see Steph. I need to chat to her about my investment. And I'm going, yes, because from young, that's how we've spoken in our family. And they've seen that that's really important.
And you've role modeled it, and I think, again, you can't underestimate the power of that role modeling, both positive and negative, and we won't go down that.
We won't get to the negative today, but it's also giving permission.
Yeah.
So it's giving permission to everybody to show what's important to them.
The Greeks spoke about telos, a sense of direction rather than a fixed destination, and we've touched on it. But how do you revisit this intention throughout the year, especially when life does start speeding up and deadlines, and to ensure that this is a real practice? It's not just a beginning of the year, January, February type event.
So I think it is putting it up so that you can see it, because then every time you walk past it, you actually see it. I do go back to mine and possibly every 4 months and just check if I'm on track. If I'm not on track, make some of the changes that I need to make, refocus myself. But I think it's subliminal. It's in your subconscious all the time. There's a one's called a wildly improbable dream. These are vision boards that you do of things that you cannot conceive achieving, but that you would really want to. And you do those, and those ones you put away. I've done it before, where you put it away, you don't look at it for 1 or 2 or 3 years, and then you come back to it and you see it. But again, what did you do? You set the intention that these were the focus areas I wanted for the next few years. Didn't look at it all the time. But my ones that I work with the most are when I'm actually looking at it.
I think sometimes we unintentionally vision boarding ourselves when we're taking pictures of things, and Google Pics or whatever it is, Apple Pics, comes up with a memory from 5 years ago, and you were taking pictures of Land Cruisers, and here you are 5 years later. I'm talking about myself, obviously, and there it is. And so we kind of do this unintentionally anyway. So it's great to unpack exactly how. Just as if there's one last point you want to land, Kim, for listeners as they think, this is actually something I really want to do. Where's a great place to start? How do they get their hands dirty with vision boarding?
Well, I think maybe your first one that you do start with could just be a piece of cardboard, cutting out some magazines, just to see what actually speaks to you. But things have changed now as well. Most of us are looking at our laptops most of the day, and I think there's many that you can go on and do online and then have them as your screensavers. So there are different ways of doing it. So I'm not really prescriptive in how you're doing it, but maybe my last parting one is that you don't really want to live a life that somebody else has planned for you. And I don't. this for me is a great exercise in just working out what it is I want to do and using my time wisely, because that's the one thing that is so limited, and why I give away all my time doing things that I don't want to be doing when I can set these kind of intentions at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's probably the most valuable commodity that we have at the end of the day is time, and you really realize that as you go through the various chapters of your life. Always valuable and worthy time chatting with you though, Kim, and I'm sure our listeners find it time well spent as well, and a great conversation. There's one idea worth carrying into the year ahead. It's being far more intentional with our vision boards and goal setting, and if you haven't started, hopefully we've inspired you to pick up some scissors and a glue stick and a piece of cardboard lying around the house and to get stuck into putting your vision out into the world and with intention.